Well, the Buffalo Bills came off the track a little bit against the Jets last week, and they're now sitting at 5-3 with the Saints this week, and then at the Chargers, at the Chiefs, and the Patriots. So tough little stretch coming right around the corner for quarterback Tyrod Taylor to get his game back in gear as well. Mina Kimes joins us, senior writer, ESPN, the magazine, joins us here on Big Board Sports. And Mina, Roger Weiland, Chris Honorado in Albany, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thanks for a few minutes. We appreciate it. And I know that Tyrod is going to be appearing in ESPN, the magazine's November 13th issue. And you've got the story centering on a polarizing nature of Taylor in Buffalo and across the NFL. And I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah, so I became interested in doing this story, guys, I think sometime during the 2016 season, when I felt like I would listen to conversations about Tyrod Taylor, and people were describing two different quarterbacks. It seemed like some people, thought he had so many limitations on his game, especially as a passer, that he never would be a franchise quarterback, too short, not enough of a pocket passer, too limited in the intermediate area. And then other analysts and people around the league that I talked to thought he was terrific and would cite, advanced statistics showing that actually he was extremely efficient and talented. So I kind of wanted to explore that divide and see if I could come up with some kind of answer about where he stands in the NFL.
Mina, have you learned anything about just watching Tyrod Taylor this season? Because at the beginning of the year, in the offseason, it almost appeared like Buffalo's master plan was to trade a lot of his weapons or not re-sign a lot of his weapons and basically set him up to fail so they didn't have to worry about any guaranteed dollars going forward. And yet here he is playing really well and efficiently, like you said, and has the Bills set up at 5-3.
Yeah, guys, I started working on this in July. I was a little sidetracked. I did a story on Aaron Rodgers in August. But when I was working on it in July, he had Watkins. I think they were about to sign Bolden. So, I thought, okay, well, let's see what he's got this season. You guys know all too well last year they were in turmoil the entire season, both with the coaching and the talent. And then, boom, Watkins gone. Bolden retires. And I'm looking at this depth chart, especially the talent at receiver and tight end, just wondering, wow, how can we even evaluate Tyrod Taylor, right? Because of the lack of talent around him, as well as the transition to Rick Dennison's West Coast offense, which I questioned, can he operate this? Is this best tailored to his skill set? And the first 2 weeks, it really seemed like that was the case. Then, as you mentioned, after that, he got pretty efficient. The offense got, improved and started clicking a little bit until last Thursday. So I think right now he's been making himself money this season, quite frankly, by showing he can operate this type of offense.
And it can run the football. There's no doubt about that. He leads all NFL quarterbacks with more than 1,000 yards rushing over the past 2 seasons. So still that seems to be his go-to. And if you're going to defend the Bills, you do have to worry about Taylor getting loose.
Yeah, and one of the stats I cited in the story, and I'm sure you know this from just watching the games, is they've been doing fewer designed runs this year. Obviously, the read option has been part of Buffalo's game, part of the reason why they've had the best rushing offense, or one of the best rushing offenses in the NFL the past few years. Because, as you know, it helps both Taylor and McCoy. The threat of either of them running creates space for both of them. That's gone away a little bit this season. And I think there's times in games when I find myself watching Taylor and I want him to take off or to check down to his own legs because he has those abilities. And sometimes I feel like he almost looks a little bit restrained and like he's trying not to do that. And I don't know if that's best for his game.
Senior writer for ESPN, the magazine, Mina Kimes, with us here on Big Board Sports, 104.5 The Team, ESPN Radio. And, of course, you'll find Mina on Around the Horn quite often as well. Mina, spending the time you did in Buffalo, this is a two-parter. One, most importantly, what was the consensus, if you could find one, on the best wings in Buffalo, Duff's or Anchor Bar? And then, secondly, in speaking with some of those fans, what is the hunger like to make the playoffs in Buffalo?
So the wings, I'm in Los Angeles, and it doesn't matter if it's Duff's or Anchor's, the number 9 or 10 wing place in Buffalo. They're so much better than anything we have in Los Angeles that they're all number one to me. So I don't want to create any controversy with a solid answer there. But as far as the hunger, obviously, guys, having a drought as long as you do, it's real. And as I tried to write in my piece, I think it also affects the perception of Taylor a little bit, because I don't want to say there's a lack of patience, but this city really wants a franchise quarterback. And there's this quote in my piece that says, Tyrod, it's like getting a 17 in blackjack. You might do better, but you probably won't. But this is a town that they want 21, and sometimes that might not be possible in the NFL.
Well, Mina, we appreciate a few minutes. I'm just looking at this Buffalo schedule right now. We're going to find out a lot. They're 5-3, right? They've got the Saints playing really well. That's home, and then they go to the Chargers, and then at the Chiefs, and then the Patriots. So we always talk playoffs with Buffalo. We're going to find out about playoffs, whether they're getting there or not this year over the next 4 games. They're sitting there at 5-3 right now.
Yeah, you got to think they would have to at least take a couple of those to stay in contention. And you're right, it's going to be difficult, in particularly because those are all, well, except for New England, those are good defenses.
Right.
Mina, always a pleasure. Keep up the great work with ESPN, the magazine, and thanks for a few minutes here on Big Board Sports.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Mina.